All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast. You're listening to Hardcore Harry, and I am Death to the New World Order, back with you on a Monday, and I have some good news. I've been mentioning we have more broadcasters on the way. I hate this headset. And we do have one starting up following me tonight. At midnight, we have Stephen Roberts with his brand new show, Cancel the Cabal. And I have spoken with him on and off, of course, getting him set up to start his broadcast on the network. But I'm as interested to see what he's got to say, what his show is going to be like, as anyone else. So I'm going to be tuning in for that. And I know that he's mentioned talking about different aspects of psychology. So we're talking about mind control, conditioning, and social engineering. Those are all topics that very much interest me. So hopefully he'll be a great addition to the network. It does mean, however, that my broadcast has now got to be compressed into hours because the network that I built will cut me off like, I'm yesterday's newspaper at midnight sharp, and it will put him on if I'm in the middle of a sentence. The show will be over. So I've got regularly scheduled breaks here like I used to do back in the day before I built a network and I had things more organized. So, even just having him come out after me will give me a little more discipline and cause me to focus on things and make the show more stable, I think. So we also have two more broadcasters that are working on getting up and running. There's technical issues, and we're working on those issues. So we'll have them on board as soon as possible. And again, we are recruiting broadcasters. If you want to join the network and broadcast, or if you know anybody that does, send them my way. So there's several things we're going to be talking about today, and I imagine everybody already knows about Lady Gaga saying, "I swear to Lucifer," and basically admitting she is a Luciferian. Most people would say, "I swear to God." Well, her God obviously is Lucifer. It's a little bit of a conundrum in the sense that, as I've explained on air before, Satanists worship Satan. Luciferians worship themselves. So Luciferians don't so much worship Lucifer. They worship themselves. They believe that they are God or they can become God. This is the belief system of the New World Order. I mean, you really got to come to understand that. And I think what I'm going to do, it pains me to do it, but I need to play a documentary on Luciferianism in order to really get that across. I don't really want to do it today because, I basically not get to talk, not get to broadcast. Maybe we'll do a piece of it today. That's what we'll do. We'll do a piece of it today following the first break, and then we'll get on to other news and stuff, and then maybe we'll do the whole thing tomorrow or something. So let me go ahead, back the mic off a little bit, and look at the various things that we do have lined up. I wanted to look at Tesla's inventions. We have a lot of people in the movement that are big on Tesla, and these people tend to believe in something called free energy. We're talking about people who think that you can make a perpetual motion machine. We could get free energy out of the atmosphere, but the government's hiding the secret. This kind of stuff. So obviously Tesla was a smart guy. He did make a lot of neat things, a lot of inventions. And it's kind of funny because my father recently passed away, and when he passed away, they locked his family. They locked all his children out of his apartment, and they took all his books, all his writings, all his papers, all of his equipment, antennas. And I was like, my gosh, this is just like what they did to Tesla. So that's not why I'm bringing this up tonight, but I don't believe in perpetual motion machines. I don't believe in free energy. A lot of the people who post about Tesla, they believe in this stuff. Now, what I'd like to do is look at his top 10 inventions and separate fact from fiction as far as what existed, what didn't. For instance, these people who believe that you can get unlimited energy from the atmosphere. This whole concept came about way back in the day when they believed in something called the ether. And it's still in our lexicon today. People talk about the ether. But there is no such thing as ether. I'm going to go into this a little bit so that people understand how the concept or the idea of ether was, brought about and why it went away. People know that light is waves of light waves, radio waves, microwaves. These are all different frequencies of light or radio waves. And people knew back in the day that sound travels through a medium. And they understood that, they believed that for something to travel from point A to point B, it had to be traveling in a medium, through a medium. So they said, well, how does light get from here to there? And they basically made up out of whole cloth, the concept that all around us was ether. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, or feel it, but it's just there. The ether is everywhere, and that's the medium that light travels through to get from point A to point B. In other words, the whole concept of ether was made up, literally made up out of nothing in order to explain something else. And really, in my mind, and I'm not a cosmologist or an astrophysicist, but in my mind, it's the same mistake I think they made with dark matter. Now, the rest of the world has not come to the realization that it's a mistake. But with dark matter, they said, well, why don't we see all of this stuff in the universe? They did something where they calculated the weight of the universe. Then they calculated the weight of all the things that they see in the universe. And they said, well, we are not seeing a lot of the universe. In fact, the vast majority of the universe, we don't know what it is, where it is. We can't see it. We can't explain it. So they said, well, let's just group all these things together that we believe exist based on our mathematical calculation of the weight of the universe, and we'll just call it dark matter. We've never seen it, can't, taste it, feel it, touch it, see it, nothing. But we'll just make up this word, make up this concept, make up this idea in order to explain away our confusion over what the universe is made of, because our mathematical calculation for the weight of the universe doesn't match our observations. This is what they did with the ether. We can't explain how light travels, how it propagates, what it propagates through, so we're just going to pretend that there's something called the ether. And then we can close the book on that. Of course, there is no such thing as the ether, but the whole free energy thing was based on the assertion that there was this ether everywhere, and you could somehow draw this ether or draw power from this ether and get free energy. I mean, I'm using the air quotes too much tonight, but this is going to be a caffeinated broadcast. So you can see how mankind's inability to understand or explain something, and perhaps because they're in paid positions, they got that pressure. Well, I got to come up with an explanation for this, or I'm not going to be seen as a real or legitimate scientist. So they make things up they just make it up. Kind of like the Big Bang Theory. And there is no such thing as free energy. I mean, sure, you could say solar energy, but that's not free. You had to build the solar panels. You had to make and deploy solar panels. And the amount of energy you get from that is very, very small. Trust me, I know. Back in the day when I was young, when I was a kid, 13, 14, 15, solar panels had just come out. They were like the newest, latest, and greatest thing. Energy from the sun. I was all about that. So I was getting solar panels from Radio Shack and hooking them up and doing everything I could with them, and you couldn't get jack from them. You couldn't get enough energy hardly to light up an LED, and that only requires 1.5 volts. Now, of course, they have gotten better since then, but I still believe that solar cells are more expensive than the amount you'll save in electricity by building them until you have them decades and decades and decades, and then you break even and start making a little bit of money. I don't know. I don't know how efficient they've got with them, but it's certainly not free energy. Anyway, staying focused in on what I do want to focus on, we're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about Tesla's inventions. We're going to look at his top 10 inventions, but I do have regularly scheduled breaks. They're going to start whether I like it or not.
Truth Broadcast Network may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We make this available in our efforts to advance understanding of criminal justice, political, human rights, economic, scientific, and social justice issues. This constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law. In accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, the material on this site is distributed without profit to those who have expressed a prior interest in receiving the information.
All right, so that wasn't too bad, was it? Now, let's go ahead and go to an article on Tesla. Here we go on screen. And this is from a pretty lame site where they don't properly format things and the text is tiny and hard to read. But we'll get what we can here. Nikola Tesla, did you know? Now, I've caught this website putting out disinformation before, so we're going to be keeping a good eye on this, and I didn't look at this ahead of time. Tesla was considered an eccentric man who talked of death rays that could destroy 10,000 airplanes at a distance of 250 miles. How could you even aim at 10,000 airplanes? However, Tesla devised the AC alternating current system that we use in our homes today. AC offered great advantages over the rival DC system. Now, I've just got a lot of background knowledge on this, and I guess I should start by saying Tesla seemed to be a decent person, an inventor who wanted to invent things for the good of mankind. But he worked for a man named Edison. Edison was an asshole. And in fact, he was communicating with spirits. Now, those of you who watch my broadcast on a regular basis understand what I'm talking about there. And he even invented a machine specifically devised to make communicating with the spirits easy, almost like a telephone. You know, you like pick up the phone and talk to a demon. Put a demon on your fucking speed dial. This is what the man was trying to do. Edison, Thomas Edison, was trying to put demons on speed dial. And, you know, Tesla worked for him and came up with things and invented things, and Edison just took it and stole the inventions. And they had, you know, over several issues, they had disputes. You know, for instance, over alternating current versus direct current, for those of you who know what these things are. I think they had a big argument about light bulbs, too, where Tesla invented a certain kind of filament for a light bulb, and Edison developed these other filaments. And Edison's stuff always got accepted because he was the big name. He had the corporation. He had the funding. He had the backing. But if you really do a hard Google search, you'll find that there is a light bulb that has the filament designed by Tesla that is still burning to this day. Tesla's stuff seemed to be better. I think Tesla was probably younger. He was probably smarter, more motivated, and more of an idealist. Edison was a little older, a little more pragmatic, a little more, how am I going to get paid for this? You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's go back to the article. By using Tesla's transformers, AC voltage could be stepped up or down and transmitted over long distances through thin wires. DC, direct current, made by Edison, could not. It required a large power plant every square mile and had to be transmitted through very thick cables. Tesla also invented electric motors that today are in use in every appliance in your house. He invented fluorescent light bulbs and neon signs. He designed the world's first hydroelectric plant in Niagara Falls and patented the first speedometer for cars. Thomas Edison, whose money was invested in DC power systems, did his best to discredit Tesla. Edison even went so far as to claim that AC electricity was far more dangerous than his DC power. At the 1993 World Exposition in Chicago, Tesla demonstrated the safety AC electricity was by passing high-frequency AC power through his body to power light bulbs. He then was able to shoot large lightning bolts from his Tesla coils to the crowd without harm. By 1898, he was demonstrating to the world the first remote-control model boat at Madison Square Garden. Tesla wanted to provide free energy to the world, and in 1900 began construction of a wireless broadcast system tower on Long Island, New York. This tower was intended to link the world's telephone and telegraph services and transmit pictures, stock reports, and weather information worldwide. Tesla ran into financial trouble with the world thinking he was insane. The transmission of voice, picture, and electricity was unheard of at this time. Tesla demonstrated the principles behind radio nearly 10 years before Marconi. In 1943, the Supreme Court ruled that Marconi's patents were invalid due to Tesla's descriptions of his work. Still, most references do not credit Tesla with the invention of the radio. This is very interesting to me because I've been looking at broadcasting on shortwave radio, but I'll talk about that later. Tesla made the Earth into an electric tuning fork by getting a steam-driven oscillator to vibrate at the same frequency as the ground. The result was an earthquake in the surrounding city. He had accurately determined the resonant frequencies of the Earth almost 60 years before science could confirm his results. Now, here we have some information that I would say might be questionable. And part of the purpose in this broadcast is because you can't take everything, you can't believe everything you read, okay? That's the bottom line, okay? Now, I've gone through this with HAARP. People saying, oh, HAARP is causing earthquakes. Now we're looking at Tesla. Did Tesla actually cause an earthquake? Or are these like Tesla fans, Tesla worshiping, people that didn't do any research? So that's the question, and we're going to answer it here live on air. So let's just go to Google. Did Tesla cause an earthquake? Tesla's earthquake machine. Now, I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying we should try to arrive at the truth here about this, rather than blindly believing the things that we see. So, here we are on Wikipedia learning about Tesla's oscillator. Tesla's electromechanical oscillator or earthquake machine is a steam-powered mechanical oscillator invented by Nikola Tesla in 1898. The machine which Tesla invented was small, around 7 inches, and weighing 1 or 2 pounds. It was 1 or 2 pounds, 7 inches long. You think he caused an earthquake with something 7 inches long? Something you could put in your overcoat pocket. It was reported that in 1898, Tesla's New York lab was nearly shaken to pieces by this little device operated by 5 pounds of air pressure acting against a special pneumatic piston device. So it was reported. Who reported it? Well, is that listed in here? Well, let's scan. He allegedly generated a resonance of several buildings, causing complaints to the police. As the speed grew, it is said that the machine oscillated at the resonance frequency of his own building, and belatedly realizing the danger, he was forced to use a sledgehammer to terminate the experiment just as police arrived. Again, well, here, let's see if this is a source, because I got this little 1 here. Usually that means it's a source. References, Prodigal Genius. I guess you'd have to buy the book, wouldn't you? So if the source is a book, honestly, I don't believe it. I mean, you could make something make a lot of noise and make a lot of vibration and make a nuisance to where people might call the police. It doesn't mean you caused an earthquake. And you notice here, there's nothing in here about an earthquake. Up top, did it say earthquake? Nearly shaken to pieces by this little device. His lab was nearly shaken to pieces by the little device. If it was an earthquake, it wouldn't have been his lab, it would have been the whole neighborhood. So there's no reason to believe he caused an earthquake. So that's looking like BS to me. Okay. And you can chase that down more if you want. Okay, here we go. Annotated Mythbusters. Looks like the Mythbusters were on this one. We got to check that out. Especially because they always blow something up at the end of every episode. Earthquake machine. Nikola Tesla invented a device capable of generating earthquakes. Busted. So I know there's people watching. Now, I'm going to be frank here, and it's going to piss some people off. I know there's some people watching who smoke weed and believe everything they say about HAARP and about Tesla and, oh, we should be getting free energy from the atmosphere. We don't even need to use oil. Grow the fuck up. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't make more use out of things like solar cells or wind turbines or whatever. But stop believing everything you see. Stop believing everything that gets posted on Facebook. Tesla did not invent an earthquake machine. That's bullshit. Now, let's look here. And I'm sorry, but I mean, this is Truth Broadcast Network. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's true when it's not. This is Mythbusters. Earthquake machine. Nikola Tesla invented a device capable of generating an earthquake. Busted. I mean, that's it. And that is Mythbusters. As you could see in the address bar, if you could see it, but I doubt you can. So we're done chasing that down. Let's go back to the original article here. And the original article here states, the result was an earthquake in the surrounding city. That article is lying. It is a lie. So what we have here is a man who put something in his apartment that vibrated, and yeah, it may have shaken his lab, and people may have called the police. It didn't cause an earthquake. I mean, that's it. That's all there is to it. In 1889, he sent waves of energy through the earth, thus proving the theory for earthquake seismic stations. By adding electricity to the returning energy, he created the largest man-made lightning bolt ever recorded, 130 feet. The accompanying thunder was heard 22 miles away and created a blue glow around the meadow outside his Colorado laboratory. So again, and I'm going to name the site now, because I told you this site was posting disinformation in the past. It's publishing lies here. Earthquake. He never made an earthquake machine. This is worldtruth.tv. Now, I don't care. The guy that runs this site, and I don't remember who it is, already blocked me on Facebook for exposing him the last time. Worldtruth.tv. I'm sure they publish a lot of things here that are true and that are good and that are relevant. But Tesla never made an earthquake machine. And if they did any research, they would know that. Any research at all. I mean, come on, man. So, I mean, are we even going to get any good information out of this? Let's see where we were. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I want to talk a little bit about shortwave because, you know, I guess this all started when I was watching Bill Cooper's speech in Pottersville. And if you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. It really is. And in fact, Bill Cooper said it was his favorite speech he ever gave. And I guess it went on for...
Truth Broadcast Network is not responsible for the content of independent broadcasters. We are loose affiliation of activists bonded together by a common struggle. As such, the network is here to act as a central hub for truth activism. The network is here to aid both those creating content and those searching for it. All broadcasters act independently and they connect through the network. Broadcasters have no control over the network and the network has no control over them. There is no liability on the part of any broadcaster for any action or statement that is not their own.
All right, so we are back, and I see Nelson in the chat is bringing up the Tunguska explosion. And, you know, it's interesting because we just had a meteor strike in Russia and I guess a couple other countries. Tunguska is widely believed to have been a meteor, but I don't know for sure. Let's see, where were we? Trying to find if anything on this website is true. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about shortwave. Now, I did, again, listen to Bill Cooper's Pottersville speech, and of course, it was interesting because, you know, he talked about this, that, and the other thing about the New World Order, of course. But he got around to actually saying, look, I want you people to set up FM radio stations, FM transmitters. And he's telling them, here's the company, here's the antenna you need to buy, here's the kit you need to buy. And he's telling them, I don't make any money off of this, but I want you to set up stations and start broadcasting like I am. Of course, we all know Bill Cooper was a shortwave radio broadcaster. And I don't know if he was licensed or not. But from what I gather, that was probably 15 years ago. Nowadays, it's not looking good. So I went to, well, I won't say where I went, but I went to a city that had a ham radio convention yesterday. And I talked to the people there, ham radio operators, and there was people there selling the antennas, selling the radios, and their radio stations. And to explain this for people who don't understand, it's basically, you know how you have an AM radio and an FM radio? Well, you have what's called a receiver. You can receive it, and that's all you can do is listen. They make radios that have more bands, and you can transmit. So in other words, you could transmit FM. You could transmit and talk on AM. You could talk on UHF, on VHF, on HF, and I think even on other bands. I guess there's something called a SSB. Maybe that's shortwave band. I don't know. I really don't know a ton about this stuff yet, but the things that I gather are that if I go on there and I start broadcasting, the FCC is going to come and they're going to lock me up. That's what I gather. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to go into all the details, but it's just not looking good. And that sucks. But I'll still be looking into it, researching it. And it really does look cool to have one of them radios. There's lots of knobs and dials and buttons. Some of them, they even have LCD screens now with like, there's meters. Who doesn't want meters, gauges? So I'm going to keep looking into that. And if I can get broadcasting on that, I will. And I'll get a license if I get a license. But as soon as I get a license and I start broadcasting, they're going to revoke my license. And I guess they can cut in and say, hey, who are you? What's your station ID number or some crap like that? Everybody's got, when they get licensed, they get a call sign. And I mean, these people, they're really proud of that. So they go to the convention and they're wearing their call sign on their jacket in big letters, like where I would put Death to the New World Order. They've got, AC97F. That's his call sign. It's like, come on, man. It's not like you can tune your radio to AC97F. Imagine there's a book where you look that up and then you get a channel or a frequency he might be out or whatever. But I don't know. I feel that we've got to bring Truth Broadcast Network off of the internet and get into the real radio waves. I'm not sure how to do this legally. I'm not sure if I do it illegally, if I'll be able to get away with it for any significant period of time or not. I know Bill Cooper, when he talked about people setting up FM transmitters, said as long as you're not selling anything, your broadcast doesn't cross state lines, and it's under 100 watts, the FCC has no authority. They will not regulate you. You don't need a license. But again, that was 15 years ago. For all I know, those rules have all changed, and they most likely have. So I'll look into it, but let me give you the grand plan here. The grand plan is that while it's not set up yet, we're going to have a radio station here on Truth Broadcast Network. It'll be available on mobile internet radio on your Android app or iPad or Pod or whatever crap they make. And there already is internet radio station D2NWO, but of course I want a radio station for Truth Broadcast Network. And all of our broadcasters, and in the future we'll have 10, 15, 20 broadcasters, will have their own FM stations set up, and I'll figure out what is the best, most affordable way to do it, and we'll get all the broadcasters set up with their own FM radio stations. Literally, it's a radio station. And they will receive the network feed over the internet radio and transmit it in their local area with their FM station. That's the plan. And then the goal is to also transmit with shortwave radio, transmit the network feed. And that way, if they take out the network site, if they take out the whole of the internet, that is still working. And it'll still be on shortwave. It'll still be on all of the independent FM radio stations. But again, the question is, what can we get away with? What's legal? What's illegal? What's illegal, but maybe people won't figure it out? How much power can the independent stations have? And there's a lot of questions that remain to be answered. But that's how I see the network expanding. Really, it's pirate radio is what we're talking about, pirate radio. It's a mishmash of internet, shortwave, and FM, all working together to create something more powerful than any one of them could ever be. That's kind of what we're working on. Anyway, let's get back to Tesla and see where this goes. At the beginning of World War I, Tesla proposed the use of energy waves to detect... let me go back on that. I must have clicked on something. At the beginning of World War I, Tesla proposed the use of energy waves to detect German submarines known today as radar. Thomas Edison rejected his idea as ludicrous. Like I said, Thomas Edison was an asshole. Then we have a big box here I'm not going to read because it's obviously opinion. Nikola Tesla was born at midnight on July 9th, 1956 in such and such place. Oh, he was a Croatian. He was known to say, "I'm a Serb, but my fatherland is Croatia." At the age of 26, while walking with a friend... I hate this headset. I'm taking it off. At the age of 26, while walking with a friend in a park in Budapest, Nikola recalled, "The idea occurred to me like a flash of lightning, and in a second the truth revealed itself. With a stick I drew in the sand the diagrams." He was talking about an alternating current induction motor. Nikola patented his motor in 1893 and used it to light the World Columbian Exposition in Chicago in the same year. In 1896, the world's first hydroelectric power was sent from Niagara Falls to light the city of Buffalo. Nikola Tesla, through George Westinghouse, had laid the foundations of the power system used around the world today. Many scientists and individuals acknowledge Tesla's foresightedness and accredit him as being the originator of many of today's inventions. The wording to describe Tesla's 1891 carbon button lamp, the brush, with minimal word change, serves well as a description of the million magnification point electron microscope developed by Vladimir R. Zworykin in 1939. The brush has also been related to the cyclotron and the atom smasher. Tesla described the vacuum bulb, considered to be the forerunner of the radio vacuum tube. He talked about visible and invisible light and described blurred photographic plates in his laboratory, considered to be the earliest reference to X-rays. And did Nikola venture into plasma physics when he created a flame and described it as burning without consuming material or even a chemical reaction. 50 years before the development of the fluorescent lamp, Nikola built phosphor-coated globes and illuminated his gas-filled tubes, which he had twisted into names. The disputed credit for the invention of the radio was settled in 1943 when the U.S. Supreme Court reversed an initial finding in Marconi's favor to rule that Tesla had anticipated all other contenders with his fundamental radio patents. The list of credits given to Nikola Tesla is large. Indeed, he has been associated with cosmic rays, radar, diathermy, the high-frequency furnace, waveguide for microwave transmission, space navigation code, cryogenic engineering, electrotherapeutics, energy transmission to the satellites, principles of solid-state transistor technology, and the reciprocating dynamo. Tesla's genius with electricity received further stimulation through his interest in resonance. The ubiquitous Tesla coil is evidence of the synergy of electricity and vibrations. With a power cord from an insulated handle at one end and a primary and secondary coil tuned to resonate at the other end, the Tesla coil, when plugged in, begins to vibrate and hum. The small Tesla coil generates high voltages and high frequencies and is used in one form or another in every radio and television set and can be found in every university science laboratory used to detect leaks in vacuum apparatus. It has been said that resonance is a manner in which nature works. Now this is interesting because this is kind of where some people lose it. And you could make the argument they're not losing it, that the more recent discoveries show that everything is a wave, everything is a vibration. It almost seems to me like where the line between science and, I don't know, philosophy or New Age belief kind of blur. So it's something that should be explored further. But I think there is probably something to this in the sense that a lot of people say that the people who built the pyramids used sound to move the 200-ton blocks. I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying people say they did. And of course we know that if you tune something to the frequency of an object, you can make it resonate. And if you have a block that's resonating, it will move easier. I mean, that's just a fact. But I don't want to go too much into this belief that everything is a frequency, everything is a vibration. Partially because I don't understand it that well. I just haven't looked into it, and that's partially because I don't quite buy into it. I mean, it's almost like Einstein, who invented a lot to do with physics and math, didn't want to buy into quantum physics or quantum mechanics. And of course, I was brought up and taught physics, and I learned quantum mechanics. But I don't quite want to buy into the whole everything is a vibration, everything is a frequency, all that stuff. Because I got more important things to worry about. So anyway, let's run through this article a little bit more. See if we get anything relevant out of it. I'll go ahead and read this. It has been said that resonance is a manner in which nature works. It covers all aspects of science, from electricity to nuclear fusion. Nothing exists in the universe that does not have a vibration. Nikola knew that vibration is the rapid back and forth motion of an object, which creates waves. He also knew that resonance is the effect of these waves on another object. When in 1898 he made an oscillator no larger than a fist and attached it to a steel link 2 feet long and 2 inches thick. For a long time nothing happened, he said, but at last the great steel link began to tremble. Increased its trembling until it dilated and contracted.
We would like to thank all who tune in, and especially all who bring others to the network so that we can unplug them from the false reality. Remember, you can show people how to tune in on their cell phones by searching their internet radio application for TBN. Truth Broadcast Network would especially like to thank its tireless broadcasters who sacrifice their time, energy, and resources working against the enemy. There is a price to pay for their selfless effort enlightening the world. Thus we thank broadcasters and ask the audience to be supportive by spreading the word about the live broadcasts and spreading the archives as much as possible.
All right, and we are back. I'll have to find a way to get those things to let me know when they're going to happen in the future. But so we also had this other guy, and he's still alive to the best of my knowledge, and Nelson probably would know his name. And he does experiments similar to what it sounds like Tesla was doing, where he allegedly can cause things to levitate. And again, this goes back to the whole thing with how did they build the pyramids. But there's video of him doing these experiments and causing things to levitate in the air. I don't know if it's legitimate. I don't know if it's true. The guy's kind of like a hermit. But I guess the government's been after his information, after his material, wanting to know how he's doing it. And the government confiscated a bunch of his equipment, but could not repeat his test results. So, though his genius was often ridiculed, his own comments showed his confidence. I know that you are a noble fellow and devoted friend, and noting your indignation at these uncalled for attacks, I'm afraid that you might give it expression. I beg you not to do it under any condition, as you would offend me. Let my friends do their worst. I like it better so. Let them spring on scientific society's worthless schemes, oppose a cause which is deserving, throw sand into the eyes of those who might see. They will reap their reward in time. In his younger years, Nikola sensed the universe was composed of a symphony of alternating currents with the harmonies played on a vast range of octaves. The 60 cycle per second AC was but a single note on a lower octave. In one of the higher octaves, at a frequency of billions of cycles a second, was visible light. To explore this whole range of electrical vibration between his low-frequency alternating current and light waves he sensed would bring him closer to an understanding of the cosmic symphony. That statement is to some degree accurate. And, we look at, I know there's some people that probably don't understand this, but radio waves, light waves that you see with your eyes, microwaves, radar, it's all the same thing at a different frequency. Okay? So there's just a spectrum of light that you can see, of radio waves that you can see. There's a spectrum that will warm up your dinner in a microwave. But it's all the same thing. So Tesla was pretty much dead on about that. In his sunset years, I don't even have you on screen. In his sunset years, Tesla believed that all matter came from a primary substance, the luminiferous ether. See, I told you. Here's the ether. And this is where Tesla was wrong. And this is where all the people talking about free energy are wrong. Maybe Tesla was smoking too much weed. In his sunset years, Tesla believed all matter came from a primary substance, the luminiferous ether, which filled all space. Nikola once said, I continually experience an inexpressible satisfaction from the knowledge that my polyphase system is used throughout the world to lighten the burden of mankind and increase comfort. As he was as he was getting high. I'm sorry. Among his many legacies to society are a number of small items that employ Nikola's discoveries in both electricity and vibration. Nikola influenced the production of personal oscillators that vibrate in tune with the luminiferous ether, collectively called purple plates. Like many of his inventions, the plates cannot be explained, and yet for over 28 years, the plates have continued to offer the same increase, comfort, and happiness to society that his polyphase system has provided since 1896. What the freak are they even talking about here? I mean, come on, I think we're going to look into this a little bit in order to find out if it's just a bunch of BS or if there's any kind of credibility to it. So we really went off trail when they started talking about purple plates and increasing comfort and happiness and the polyphase system. What is the polyphase system? So let's find out all of these things. We will go to Google and throw it in there and see what comes out. Purple Tesla energy plates. Genuine healing and energy plates. So now it looks like we're going to the spectrum of the truth movement that believes in things like, what's it called? Organite? Organite? See, I really need to do a comprehensive breakdown on all of these things. I really do, because there are people who really buy into this stuff. There are people who make organite, make their own organite. And I've heard people say, oh, if you put organite by a cell tower or a microwave tower, it won't harm you anymore. There are people who say, if you put organite outside your home, the chemtrails won't harm you anymore. The most ridiculous, ludicrous stuff, because they believe that this stuff that just looks like some sort of rock or crystal has some kind of magic powers. I mean, it's like truth movement merging with like people who believe in magic and stuff. It's ridiculous. And here we are. Welcome to purpleplates.com. Purple Tesla healing and energy plates and jewelry. Purpleplates.com is providing thousands of happy customers with positive energy plates, discs, angels, and healing and energy jewelry, including crystal necklaces, purple energy earrings, and purple energy bracelets for over a decade. We sell the genuine, authentic plates that Linda Goodman refers to in star signs. See, this is off-the-wall nut job stuff. The magic of purple plates. Let's find out about the magic of purple plates. I'm going to end up calling this broadcast Tesla Smoked Too Much Weed. The magic of Tesla's purple energy plates. Let's zoom in a little. I guess that right there is a picture of a purple plate. Imagine owning an object that had the power to change for better the water you drink, the food you eat, and even the people you know. So if you have a purple plate, the people you know change. I mean, really. Does anybody believe this stuff? It sounds a lot like a plot for a science fiction movie. But there have been some incredible claims and results in conjunction with purple energy plates, sometimes called purple harmony plates, in recent years. Although the Tesla-inspired plates have been used for over 28 years, they are just now gaining recognition due to the New Age era of miracles and spirituality. So, I mean, they flat out admitted there that it is the New Agers that are propagating this stuff. And there are people in the truth movement who, while they would never say, oh, I'm a New Ager, they're making their own organite in their home and talking about how it heals this and causes that and stops this and changes that. And I talk all the time about the Luciferian infiltration of the truth movement. There's even a great documentary on the Luciferian infiltration of the truth movement. And I think what we got to do is we got to really look closely at the whole range of, I guess you could call them talking points, brought about by these New Agers that are infiltrating the truth movement, because they can come in and say, look, people are understanding that New Age movement is Luciferian. So let's not talk about that. Let's just tell them how organite will help them and heal this and stop the HARP and cure the chemtrails and keep the microwave tower from hurting them. And then we can slowly lead them into the New Age movement with that kind of stuff. I mean, it should go without saying that this is all BS, this purple energy plate stuff. But I'm sure there's somebody out there who would say, no, this is really real. And if you haven't tried it, you know, you don't know. But I mean, we all know about the placebo effect in the sense that if you tell somebody you gave them a medication that's going to make them feel a certain way, and then you give them a sugar pill that does nothing, a significant percentage of people will say, oh, it works. I feel like that now. And the same would apply to purple plates. Oh, this plate will make you feel better. It doesn't matter what you give them. A certain percentage of people are going to say it works because they want to believe. And that's a major problem. That's a major problem. People who want to believe. You can't want to believe. You've got to investigate. You got to determine the facts. You can't go around wanting to believe things. You know, I mean, I had a discussion with some guys at Denny's while I was working one night. I don't work at Denny's. I was working on the network with my laptop. And I don't know how it came up, but I mentioned what I do, that I'm a broadcaster, and I was talking to them about the New World Order and stuff, because, I mean, it's what we do. And they were college kids, or people who had gone to college. And he told me, well, you know, our professor explained to us why people think the things that you think. I was like, oh, really? And what did he say? And they told me that their professor told them that there are some people out there who think the things we think because we're afraid to admit that nobody's really in control and that random things just happen. We're afraid to admit that the world is like that. And so we make up these conspiracy theories so that we can imagine somebody's in control. Because otherwise we'd be scared. It's the most ridiculous thing on the face of the earth. Nobody wants to believe that the world is being controlled by evil people who want to destroy everything and kill you. We don't want to believe that. We just found that that's the case. It's true. But there are people who want to believe that their orgonite will stop the cell phone tower from harming their children. They want to believe it. There are people who want to believe in a lot of this stuff that these people in the New Age movement come in here pushing. And it's just like Roger Morneau talked about how he got sucked into demon worship. Demon worship. By going to a seance under the guise that he was going to talk to the spirit of his dead grandmother, to the ghost of his dead grandmother. They sucked him in with that. And the next thing you know, after he's doing it for a while, he thought, oh, we're worshiping demons, but you know, I've been doing it for a while now, so I might as well just keep worshiping them because they're going to give me special power. I guess you could say in the sense that the New Age movement is trying to infiltrate the truth movement, that they're coming at us on our turf. The problem is that there's a lack of
If all you do
education
is post on Facebook, you are
in the
hiding your
truth movement
information
about
from the
what
real
they're
world
up to.
and the real internet. Nothing will ever come up in a search engine. If you want to avoid being censored, blocked or shut down, then post on Truth Broadcast Network. You can then share the professional web pages inside the free speech zone. This way your material will come up in search engines, and it will exist inside and outside the free speech zone. Facebook is a trap. Empower yourself by empowering Truth Broadcast Network. Remember to contact us with your username so we can allow your profile privileges to post.
No, we're not. All right, now we're back. Sorry, guys. It's new for me having regular breaks. I haven't done that in a while. So we're done looking at this crap about purple plates. Tesla did not cause an earthquake, and the purple plates don't do jack. And you notice people are just trying to make money off it. And you see right here. Oh, look, free energy. I told you. Free energy. Free energy soul purpose bracelet, $40 each. You got your Violet Tesla free energy cuff bracelet, $19.99. And you know, these things have reached the point where they sell this kind of thing on television. And they'll say, oh, it's got magnets in it, and the magnets will, you know, attract the iron out of your blood and make you feel better or feel healthier. And they present these things, they don't present them as part of the New Age movement. But that's really what it is. It's mysticism. I really need to do a broadcast specifically on mysticism. And I think what we're going to find out, and I'm kind of going somewhere I haven't thought about. But what we're going to find out is that there is good and there's evil. And good has certain attributes and evil has certain attributes. And some of the attributes of evil involve spirit communication, and that some of these things are almost like doorways opening you up to communicating or being influenced by spirits. So in that sense, maybe they do something, but it's not good. All right, so I had a bunch of stuff prepared for this broadcast. We're an hour in, and I barely got to any of it because, as I figured, I would get sidetracked with this Tesla stuff because most of it's a bunch of BS. Now, I'm not saying Tesla was stupid. Obviously, he was smart. And it seems to be the other people that took his work and started, you know, blowing it all out of proportion. I want to look at this a little more, though. Well, that's purpleplates.com again. A lot of purpleplates.com, teslaplates.com. Let's look at this a little more. Because what I want to know is, how does this work? Technologically, how does it work? Or is it just, hey, this is purple, buy it? Use the elementary power of the universe. So here we go with what free energy type stuff again. Genuine Swiss Tesla plates and discs enhance the energy field and vibrational state of living organisms. Tesla plates energize your food and beverages, help to regenerate them from electromagnetic pollution, and bring harmony to your living space. So, regenerate from the electromagnetic pollution. This is the kind of people who say, hey, if you have this orgonite, or if you have these Tesla plates, the radiation from that microwave tower won't affect you. And here you have a picture of people sitting their food on top of the Tesla plate. Plates have been used for more than 39 years, since 1971, and still have the same effect as on the first day. Tesla plates are, to my knowledge, the oldest tachyon products. Contrary to others, they work for an unlimited time as they recharge themselves continually. Tachyon. I mean, is it just me, or does that sound like the propulsion system from Star Trek? Let's find out what tachyon means exactly. Probably tachyon energy, huh? Holistic healing. So, tachyon energy products are the ultimate upgrade. Oh, this website is crap. The gap between science and spirituality. You see what I'm saying? Spirituality. Right there. Boom. Spirituality. This is what I'm saying. This isn't technology. It's mysticism. It's New Age, Luciferian mysticism. The gap between science and spirituality is closing very fast. One reason is that all ATTI products are developed from the tachionization process invented by Professor David Wagner. In 2010, the USA Patent Office granted it a tachionized testing method patent. Tachionized energy products can now be proven. Tachyon energy concepts, products, tools, and scientific healing theories have been our central evolution. Since 1990. Tachyonized energy products are recognized as the non-frequency energy source that has remarkable effects in restoring energetic balance and radiant health. David Wagner, through ATTI, has merged science and spirituality in our sharing of healing energy tools and products. And a science which once sounded too good to be true are now credited with changing lives globally. For over 22 years of research, clinical studies, patent applications, and a U.S. patent, the use of tachionized tools and products have moved from the fringe of science to a highly successful adjunct in the integrative approach to restoring radiant health. With over 3 million products sold, the effects have been globally documented and celebrated since David Wagner invented the tachionization process in 1990. All right, so I mean, it's to me becoming pretty clear that what we're talking about here is New Age mysticism and even connecting with spirits. That's what we're looking at here. I know there's a lot of people in the movement. And we got, I see in the chat, maybe the gap is debunking spirituality with science. I see myself doing a broadcast in the future. Maybe I'll even order some of this stuff. Even though that seems like that would be bad. Maybe I'll order some of this stuff just so I can show it on air. What would the point of that be? This is tampering with mysticism. It's like... Alright, we're done talking about this crap. Get rid of that one. Get rid of this one. And go back to our original Tesla page where we went way off course, away from truth and straight into mysticism, which is allegedly going to increase comfort and happiness, which is all subjective. Many generations pass, our machinery will be driven by a power obtainable at any point of the universe. Throughout space, there is energy. Again, this is the whole free energy concept. Nikola Tesla believed in the ether, and he believed that you could draw power from the ether. There's no such thing as ether. It doesn't exist. I believe that one day, people are going to look back and they're going to say, I can't believe people used to believe in dark matter. The same way I'm telling you right now, I can't believe people used to believe in the ether. Anytime science concocts a new theory solely to explain something they can't explain, you can't just go believe that. Nikola Tesla is finally beginning to attract real attention and encourage serious debate nearly 70 years after his death. Was he for real a crackpot, part of an early experiment in corporate government control? We know that he was undoubtedly persecuted by the energy power brokers of his day, namely Thomas Edison, whom we are taught in school to revere as a genius. He was also attacked by J.P. Morgan and other captains of industry. Upon Tesla's death on January 7, 1943, the United States government moved into his lab and apartment, confiscating all his scientific research, and to this day, none of his research has been made public. Besides his persecution by corporate government interests, which is practically a certification of authority, there is at least one solid indication of Nikola Tesla's integrity. He tore up a contract with Westinghouse that was worth billions in order to save the company from paying him his huge royalty payments. All right, we're done with Tesla. We've been on Tesla for over an hour, and what we find is he was smart. He came up with some good stuff. But at some point in time, somebody went, maybe he was colluding with Edison, and they were trying to connect with spirits. I mean, look, this really is part of the big picture, but for all the time, people have been trying to connect with the, what they call it, the other side. I mean, we got TV shows about it. What was this TV show with some guy that's supposed to be able to talk to your dead relatives? We had the cat psychic. And with Tesla apparently making these wild claims about free energy and I can power the world and all this kind of stuff, I guess it attracted people who wanted to use technology to connect with the other side. And Thomas Edison, as I said, built a device for doing so. He probably was talking to Tesla about that device. Maybe they worked on it together and Edison stole that like he stole everything else. But we're done talking about Tesla for tonight. And we can move on to some other things. I think I downloaded a bunch of videos for tonight's broadcast, but most of them are, all of them are on Luciferianism. And I think it's probably a good time to go ahead and play at least one of those. So let me pull out, we'll just take part 5. I glanced at it, it looked pretty interesting. I lost my space in the broadcast. Well, the timing will be a little off, but the network's going to cut me off at a certain time no matter what I do, so we will go ahead and check this out, and then I'll be back.
Prominent men, meeting in secret, who directed the course of civilization, are recorded in the writings of all people. The oldest is the Brotherhood of the Snake, also called the Brotherhood of the Dragon, and it still exists under many different names. The Brotherhood of the Snake is devoted to guarding the secrets of the ages and to the recognition of Lucifer as the one and only true God. If you do not believe in God, Lucifer, or Satan, you must understand that there are great masses of people who do, and their beliefs and actions based upon those beliefs will affect me. The important fact to remember is that the leaders of both the right and the left are a small, hard core of men who have been and still are Illuminists or members of the Brotherhood. They may have been or may be members of the Christian or Jewish religion, but that is only to further their own ends. They are, and always have been, Luciferian and internationalist. They give allegiance to no particular nation, although they have used, on occasion, nationalism to further their causes. Their only concern is to gain greater economic and political power. The ultimate objective of the leaders of both groups is identical. They are determined to win for themselves undisputed control of the wealth, natural resources, and manpower of the entire planet. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian totalitarian socialist state. In the process, they will eliminate all Christians, Jews, and atheists. You have just learned one, but only one, of the great mysteries.
But now it had to change. Lucifer says we have to make sure that people, humans, get to believe that Satan and his angels do not really exist.
that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to disconnect us from multidimensional infinity so that we don't see the world from that perspective, and therefore see through the illusion and see through the nonsense and see through the lies. And then once they've disconnected people, they then program this lower level of our consciousness with a reality that suits them. And therefore, the only information that they have to get a fix on how they see life themselves and reality in general is through the eyes and the ears. And who controls that? The Illuminati control that.
They're trying to disconnect us from multidimensional infinities, and then once they've disconnected people, they then program this lower level of our consciousness with a reality that suits them.
If there's a reality out there pertaining to any alien influence, we need to sort out the government misinformation and disinformation and mind manipulation techniques that they're using. I know for a fact that the plan is to make all of us feel totally helpless, that what's happening is beyond our realm to affect because we've been taken over by aliens, that our Independence Day is dawning. So beware of that. Understand that those criminals have been keeping information and technology from us under their blanket of national security. They are 25 years ahead of us at least. They're way ahead. So when they say, it's aliens, and they show us some incredible technology, don't fall into the trap of feeling totally helpless, that this is beyond our realm to affect. Superstition begins where knowledge leaves off. And they have been keeping knowledge from us for a long time. People have all kinds of belief systems. And I'm sure each and every one of you has various and different belief systems as well. I'm not saying that there's no such thing as aliens. That would be foolish of me to even say anything like that at all. But what I am saying is that it was my experience that these were people claiming to be aliens.
Some people in this world are about to destroy the sovereignty of nations, take away our Bill of Rights. The UFO thing is integrally tied into this in some way. I'm not exactly sure how, but if extraterrestrials are real, then they're controlling everything, believe me. If they're not real, they're being used as a threat from without to scare people into coming into this one world global unity of humanity in order to face that external threat. But in the process, we're going to lose. The ordinary man will lose.
You need to understand, disinformation is deliberate deceit to hide other things. And so there's so much of that. And some of it is surprisingly well-sponsored disinformation.
I'm going to sum up this talk and mention an overview of the alien agenda. The alien agenda is really decimate the planet, to take the remaining human subjects as slaves, and the aliens would use this planet for their own means.
My question I'd like to ask is this. If the aliens have a 1,200 IQ, can speak all these languages, and are so powerful, what prevents them from just taking over?
Well, it's a good question. We are an alien species to them, and our germs have a tendency to kill them. They're also a dying race, and they're in far worse condition than anybody with the worst case of terminal cancer. They are in need of us to some degree.
And some of it is surprisingly well-sponsored disinformation.
So I think my question is actually to Clifford Stone. You said that you had seen aliens on a craft that had crashed. I wondered if you could describe what they looked like.
I could, but it would probably take a whole lot of time. The reason I state that, when I got out in 1989, we had cataloged 57 different species. You have individuals that look very much like you and myself that could walk among us and you wouldn't even notice the difference.
Truth Broadcast Network may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We make this available in our efforts to advance understanding of criminal justice, political, human rights, economic, scientific, and social justice issues. This constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law. In accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, the material on this site is distributed without profit to those who have expressed a prior interest in receiving the information.
All right, for those who are just tuning in, we do have a brand new broadcaster coming up midnight tonight in just 1 hour. It will be Stephen Roberts with his show, Cancel the Cabal. And I look forward to checking that out. And, you know, it's his first broadcast, so if he stumbles a little bit and has some technical glitches, that's pretty much to be expected. I know I've had plenty in my day. So we'll hope it goes well, and you know, hope he's a good addition to the network. Now, let's go ahead, go on screen, and see where else we need to go. We got this thing going on with the Pope, and I want to talk about that a little bit, in part because I need to learn about it a little bit, and in part because it's just, I mean, I'm not Catholic myself, but there are people who may be Catholic who are very interested in this kind of thing. So let's just check it out. Pope allegedly learns of arrest warrant for abuse claims just before resignation. Of course, the Pope recently resigned. Since the Pope announced his resignation last week, there's been a lot of speculation about his motives, and now it's being reported that he may be running from something. And according to addictinginfo.com, I've never heard of that site, but we're going to go there in order to ascertain if... I mean, you got to trace down sources. Are people just making stuff up here or what, you know? Pope allegedly sought immunity for abuse crimes just before resigning. Oh, that reminds me, something we definitely need to hit on tonight is that your dictator, Obama, is now being charged with abuse of office. And that's certainly an impeachable offense, and some people are supposedly, you know, looking to impeach. I would say it's too little too late, but I mean, if they can do it, it should be done. We knew something had to be up with the resignation of Pope Benedict. After all, popes don't just resign. In fact, this is the first time a pope has resigned in 600 years. Therefore, the hoopla surrounding this is more understandable. However, as per usual with the Catholic Church, there seems to be a catch, and lo and behold, it likely surrounds the infamous abuse scandals that have plagued the Church's image for so long. I don't know if that's true or not. It seems that with his resignation announced, the Pope, whose given name is Joseph Ratzinger, and has a meeting with the Italian President Giorgio Napolitano on February 23rd to beg for immunity against prosecution for allegations of sex crimes. Apparently, this hastily arranged meeting and likely the resignation as well are the result of a supposed note received by the Vatican from an undisclosed European government that stated that there are plans to issue a warrant for the Pope's resignation. So, he's supposed to meet with the President of Italy under the pretense that he's asking to not be prosecuted from an undisclosed European government. The President of Italy couldn't do anything if it was, say, the UK that was going to prosecute him. If it was Italy that was going to prosecute him, they could do something. This smells like disinformation to me. It really does. It looks like disinformation. So we're not going to discuss it. And somebody brought this to me before, and I told them I thought it was disinformation. And so we're done. Now this is from the Intel Hub, and I think the Intel Hub's a decent source. But anybody can be misled, and I believe that they have been. Could be that I'm wrong. But that doesn't happen very often. Now, we got a post here, and This one, I believe, is on Truth Broadcast Network. Oh, yeah, we got to get to this. I'll open that in a separate window. Well, no, I don't even need to open it. See, with the network site now, we can play video. You don't even have to go to it. We can just play it right there. Boom, done and over with. So let's zoom in and play this video. Again, we were just talking about Luciferianism. And this is, what's her name? Lady Gaga.
Equipment so that I could record.
You record on the bus? And do you record while the bus is moving, or does it have to come to a stop?
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't want to, and they're, Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I swear to Lucifer, I swear to Lucifer, I swear to Lucifer.
All right, so there you have it. She flat out said, I swear to Lucifer, where others would naturally say something like, I swear to God. But again, Luciferians worship themselves, not Lucifer. So it is an odd reference, but most people, the average person, really doesn't even know anything about Lucifer. They don't even, I don't know, what is it? Maybe 50% of people know that Lucifer is a fallen angel? I don't even know. But I don't know, that she would put it there is just strange. So I want to go ahead and open this up, actually, and let's see what kind of comments people are leaving, because I've made the network site now to where you can comment using your Facebook thing, so you don't have to sign up for the network and all that. And the comments are starting to pick up. So let's zoom in on some comments. Oh, goodness. I can't even read this. We got to enlarge the screen here. And it doesn't do anything. Wonderful. I'll just get real close. Oh, there's too many comments to read. We'll just let that go. So I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Because I think, these people in the entertainment industry obviously are not high up in the New World Order. Whether they think they are or not, Jay-Z, whatever, they're not. They're just puppets dancing to the New World Order's tune. And, of course, we all know that if they want to get famous, if they want to become overnight sensations, they basically got to sell their soul. And several musicians have flat out admitted it. They've admitted it. Now, I want to name some names, but I don't want to say that about somebody when I'm wrong. There was one that was like a country singer, and was it Johnny Cash or it was somebody else? But several of them have admitted it, have said it. I don't know what you make of that, but I'd say she's a Luciferian, or they told her to say that in order to boost publicity and to, I don't know. Look, she's followed by a lot of people. I have a cousin who has for years let her children listen to Lady Gaga. So she gets this massive following, and then says something like that. Well, what are her fans saying? Well, maybe I should be looking into Lucifer. Maybe I should learn about Lucifer. And so they're led in that direction. Anyway, enough of that. So we're going to get on to our dictator now and explore just what's going on there. Let me take a peek and make sure that the network feed is still going, and it is. So I'll get cut off by my break like I'm supposed to. United States Supreme Court grants expedited decision on Obama fraud for Tuesday, February 19, 2013. And there you see the fraud walking around in our house. And hopefully I can make this text bigger. Who is Harrison J. Bunnell? According to the 2009 tax returns submitted by President Barack Obama, he's the President of the United States. All 9 U.S. Supreme Justices are scheduled to discuss this anomaly today. So, apparently in 2009, Obama submitted a tax return in that name. The case in question is Edward Noonan et al. Versus Deborah Bowen, California Secretary of State. And the justices are finally looking at it thanks to the dogged determination of Orly Tates. Now, this is California, so it's going to be the 9th Circuit. So whatever happens, the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals is going to side with the New World Order dictator. But anyway, we'll check it out. The case calls into question many of the documents Obama, Bunnell, Sotero, Sobark, etc., has used and or released as authentic since he came onto the national scene. The case contends that the documents, birth certificate, social security number, selective service registration, etc., are fakes or forgeries. If that's the case, Obama should not have been on the California ballot in 2008 and therefore should not have received the state's electoral votes. 4 of the 9 justices must vote to move the case forward. We'll see. Continue reading article by Bob Livingston and political blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's go there. So the thing is, isn't the inauguration has already occurred. He's already been re-inaugurated. I mean, can you undo that? Would you undo that? I mean, I know enough about the law with the various legal cases that I've been in and that I've represented myself in. You know, there are things called exigent circumstances. And they basically would say, okay, well, so he's a foreigner, so he's not eligible. The problem is, if we pull him out of office, there's going to be a national riot, perhaps even a civil war, as the blacks in the country explode, saying that he's been robbed and it's racist. And so it would be unsafe, and we should just leave him in office. I mean, that's probably what would happen. And they'd probably seal the documents, seal the records. Orly Tates, U.S. Supreme Court grants expedited decision on Obama fraud for Tuesday, February 19, 2013. Let's increase the text size so I can read this. Oh gosh, another lame website. Who is Harrison J. Bunnell? I already read that. Blah, blah, blah. 4 of the 9 justices must vote to move the case forward. We'll see. Meantime, on February 4, Kathleen O'Leary, presiding judge of the 4th District Court of Appeal, reinstated the appeal of Tates versus Obama et al. Filed by Tates when she ran for Senate. That case involves evidence of 1.5 million invalid voter registrations in the state of California. All right, this is just a bunch of BS that's never going to go anywhere because he is the New World Order dictator. New World Order controlled dictators do not get removed from office, except by violent revolution of the people. So, we're up on another network break here shortly. So I think that we may, and have you on screen, we may look at or touch upon the gun control methods that people are trying to employ. Washington State considers law requiring police to inspect homes of gun owners. That is insanity. To inspect the homes. Like somebody's going to come into my house to inspect it under the guise that they're looking for my guns. They want to inspect my... I mean, come on. That's insane. But I guess somebody's already doing it. Forget police drones flying over to your house. Jeez.
Truth Broadcast Network is not responsible for the content of independent broadcasters. We are a loose affiliation of activists bonded together by a common struggle. As such, the network is here to act as a central hub for truth activism. The network is here to aid both those creating content and those searching for it. All broadcasters act independently and they connect through the network. Broadcasters have no control over the network and the network has no control over them. There is no liability on the part of any broadcaster for any action or statement that is not their own.
All right, and I guess I could talk about that a little bit because, you know, I built the network and I really want things to work out long term. And again, Stephen Roberts will be coming up with this show, Cancel the Cabal, here in about 30 minutes, 27 minutes. There's a huge learning curve when it comes to being a broadcaster. I need to get tutorials made, but when I'm done, it should be pretty simple. You just follow the instructions and you know how to do things. But we need people to post on the site also, so if you want to get involved with the network, we'd appreciate it. Just get a hold of me, facebook.com/D2NWO. That stands for Death to the New World Order. D2NWO. And, I mean, long term, I want to get us on the real airwaves somehow. It's going to be difficult as we have different broadcasters coming on with different levels of, you know, talent or skill, different levels of control. I mean, it took me well over a year broadcasting before I could get through broadcasts without cursing and saying people should be shot in the face. Some people don't have that good of control, and it can take a while before they get it. So what we're going to do is we're going to purchase a premium channel, full 1080p. And in order to broadcast on it, I'll probably have to pay more for my internet at home too. And the broadcasters who have their shows under control, who properly post to the network, who, you know, do the things that are in the tutorials, they're going to be on the premium channels. And the rest of them will be considered, well, they're broadcasters, but they're not going to be on the premium channel until they get their broadcast really put together. And then we'll see about getting those broadcasters on the premium channel on the real airwaves. I don't want to write checks that I can't cash. I don't know if we can make it happen. And I have looked into a little bit, for instance, how Alex Jones does it, and I guess he literally pays money to someone who has a license with the FCC just to broadcast on shortwave radio. So you have to pay money just to broadcast on shortwave radio. Now, never mind the fact I can buy a shortwave radio and start talking on it and broadcasting. But if you do that, they're going to shut you down. You got to have a license. And you got to get a license from the government. And the government determines who gets a license and who doesn't. In other words, in order to really gain some serious ground, we're going to have to comply with some regulations, which are probably going to involve things like not saying people should be shot in the face, having shows that are a little bit more professional, a little bit better thought out. So as we pick up broadcasters over time, hopefully this will just automatically happen. But I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how well it's going to go. What I can say, and I've said this on air before, if I look at the progress day to day, I get depressed. I mean, I can look at a day where I accomplished almost nothing. But when I look at the progress year to year, I'm almost in disbelief. A year ago, there was no such thing as Truth Broadcast Network. It wasn't even conceived of. And, you know, I look at our goals for, say, by 2014. It is 2013 already. Our goals for by 2014 would be to have several more broadcasters, to have the radio station running, to have all the broadcasters uploading their broadcasts onto the radio station, to have a premium channel, to have obviously more people tuned in. It's an evolving process. And, you know, I was saying to my wife today, because she brought up, somebody was on Facebook saying Alex Jones is this, that, or the other thing, you know, he's not legit or whatever. I don't think I would have started this if I thought Alex Jones was legit. I'm not saying he's not legit. I'm saying, in my mind, it's questionable. In my mind, it's highly questionable. And seeing that the New World Order may be controlling its only real opposition is what caused me to say, I have to create a network. I have to create a truth network. And I've got to bring other people on board. And we've got to be there for if or when Alex Jones stabs everybody in the back. Now, I know for a fact so many of these other alternative media outlets are not legitimate. And I mean, I don't want to go down the list and name them. You should know. Glenn Kennedy, whatever crap he's running, that's illegitimate. He's an operative. I've heard all kinds of crap out of the Camelot Project. I'm not sure they've ever said anything that was true. And I can't even remember the other ones. And I don't spend any time listening to them. It's just that when I happen upon a post, every once in a while, I'll listen to somebody else for a couple seconds. And I hear them saying the most ridiculous crap. There's something going around right now about Paul Joseph Watson as a reptilian. And it shows these 4 guys in a group chat just being a bunch of little kids, a bunch of immature little idiots. They're not doing anything for the truth movement. They're not working against the New World Order. They're attacking Paul Joseph Watson with a fake photo. A fake photo. They took a photo of him and modified it, and then they're trying to make fun of him and say he's a reptilian while they're trying to pretend they're part of the truth movement. It's sickening. And this is what passes for alternative media. Now, I don't even know who these people were. I never seen them before, never heard of them before. I don't know what station they were with. I don't know anything about it. So the goal of Truth Broadcast Network is to bring together people who are legitimate, people who are in it for the right reasons, so that we can act almost as, I think it's called a rudder on a boat, in the sense that when the movement is led astray, as it has been by the likes of Dallas Goldbug, people like me on Truth Broadcast Network will expose the frauds and try to keep us on course. That's what Truth Broadcast Network is for. And I will be deciding who's going to be on the network and who's not. And I'll probably give most anybody a chance. But I mean, if they're pushing disinformation or something, they won't be around. It's just the way it's going to be. I mean, we had Libertarian Ann on here for a while. And I didn't get rid of her for the technical difficulties. I would have helped her out and worked through that over time. It was the fact that she would sit there on air and play with her fucking hair and talk to a bunch of guys, one of them drinking alcohol out of a fucking beer bottle in a bag on the fucking network. No, that's not going to be allowed on Truth Broadcast Network. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So I don't honestly know how these other organizations or networks run their stuff. What I know is on Truth Broadcast Network, you're only going to have people who are in it for the right reasons, who are working on telling people things they need to know. And, I mean, hopefully things go well. There's not so much as a donate button. I know there's people out there who ask me time to time, you know, how can we donate money or something? It just doesn't exist. Honestly, I don't even have time to figure out how to make a donate button. I'm so busy trying to do everything else. But one day we'll start selling stuff on here like, you know, ball caps or something, you know, T-shirts to promote the network, to get people tuned in. But, you know, it's hard to promote something that's barely even built, barely even up and running yet. So we're going to get it up and running. We're going to get it built. We're going to get it more professional. We're going to get it on the real airwaves if we can. And I don't know, at the same time, I don't know how we can do it. I don't know why anybody would not want it. I mean, I've considered just going to, you know, putting applications, job applications, work applications in to all the local radio stations and telling them, look, I'll work for free, 100% for free, or for $1 a day. I'll work for $1 a day if you'll put me on the airwaves. And then maybe I say, look, I got these other people. Why don't you put down? Why don't you get rid of all these people that you're paying money to broadcast a bunch of bullshit over your airwaves and put my people on there? I don't know how things are going to evolve in the future. We're looking for an opening. We got a lot of work to do on our end to get people up and running and get them more professional, but we're looking for an opening. And in the end, we're going to have the content, but not the marketing. That's the way it's going to be. Maybe we find somebody who knows about business, who knows about marketing, who joins a team and says, okay, I'm a truth activist. I want to see this get off the ground, and helps us out. I have no idea how it's going to go. What I can tell you is that since I started doing this, the best way I can describe it is it's like I've been walking across a bridge that isn't there. And every time I put out my foot, a little piece of the bridge appears under my foot. I just do it, and it works. Things fall into place. That's the way it has been since day one. It's always been that way. And I think that's because I'm doing what I'm meant to do. I'm building what is meant to exist. And hopefully things will continue just like that. And hopefully the other broadcasters who are coming on board, things will work out for them. And things will fall into place for them. And hopefully we'll be like a team, banging on all 8 cylinders and kicking ass. And we're not going to have, look, we don't answer to nobody. We don't have anybody telling us what we can and can't say, what we can and can't do. Of course, the government's got all kinds of rules and policies and restrictions and all this stuff, and this is another issue. All these internet radio stations call themselves radio stations. If there's one thing I learned while looking into the shortwave broadcasting, that's a radio station. This isn't a radio station. And that's why I didn't call it, Truth Broadcast Radio Station. It's True Broadcast. It's a network of activists, but it's not a radio station. Like Free Think Radio called itself a radio station. It's not a radio station. It doesn't use radio waves. It doesn't transmit a radio signal. It's not a station. It's a website. And that's what Truth Broadcast Network is. It's a website. Now, it's going to be a central hub for things that are going to be a lot more than a website, but it's not a radio station. We may have a lot of independent radio stations broadcasting our material, but Truth Broadcast Network is not a radio station, and thusly, at this point, is not in any way subject to government rules or regulations from organizations like the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. They can kiss our ass. They got no authority over us. Now, we know they're trying to pass all kinds of rules and laws about the internet, and who knows where that's going to go. We know the FBI has a company in Virginia monitoring internet radio. I don't know if they got around to monitoring internet video, live internet video, but I would imagine they're thinking about it if they haven't already done it. The sad truth is that so much of the video on the internet, especially the live streams, videos like live stream, are run by the government. They really are. Especially when they're, engineering a revolution in Libya, or when they're setting up the Occupy movement here in the United States. Those are being run by the government. Occupy is the government. It is the New World Order. So wish us luck. We're going to do everything we can. Every single person involved with the network is doing everything on their own dime. That's the way it should be.
We would like to thank all who tune in, and especially all who bring others to the network so that we can unplug them from the false reality. Remember, you can show people how to tune in on their cell phones by searching their internet radio application for TBN. Truth Broadcast Network would especially like to thank its tireless broadcasters who sacrifice their time, energy, and resources working against the enemy. There is a price to pay for their selfless effort enlightening the world. Thus, we thank broadcasters and ask the audience to be supportive by spreading the word about the live broadcasts and spreading the archives as much as possible.
All right, guys, sorry about having my mic muted there. I guess I'll restate a little bit of that. And we do have a very interesting question in the chat. It comes from Kat, and that is, if people are corporations, which of course we are, do we as corporations have special rights or special privileges that we would not have as just people? That's a very, very good and interesting question. That information is not readily available on the internet that I can find in just a moment or two. So I think that I'll go ahead and consult some what do we call sovereigns or freemen on that issue and see what they have to say about it. But I mean, I got a couple tons of toxic waste I need dumped. Corporations do it all the time, you know. I mean, they're going to come after me for changing my own oil and dumping it in the yard, but a corporation can dump tons of toxic waste and pay a little bit of a fine. It's a very interesting, a very good question. Anyway, what I was saying a little bit earlier, I guess I got about 5 minutes left. Oh, Maximilian is a freeman. Well, if you'd like to call in, I'll put the number on the screen here. There it is. And if you'd like to call in and address that question, that would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, what I was talking about there was the evolution of Truth Broadcast Network, in that we are not controlled. The FCC has no authority over us because we're not a radio station. You know, a lot of these people want to pretend that they're radio stations. Like Freethink Radio pretended that it was a radio station, but it's not a radio station. It's a website. It does not transmit radio waves in the real air. It doesn't transmit on a specific frequency. It doesn't transmit. And Truth Broadcast Network is a website. We don't transmit anything at this juncture. In the future, I would like to. I'm not sure how we would get into that. Something will open up when the time is right, I'm sure. But as such, they have no control over us, and our broadcasters, including me, need to kind of run clean shows, keep the profanity to a minimum, not say that people should be shot in the face like I know I did during my first year and a half broadcasting, so that when the opportunity does come that we can get on a real station, we can do it. And I've looked into the technical things involved in actually building a radio station from scratch. It's not so much of an option. Who knows what the future holds? You know, maybe as we get this put together, as we get more broadcasters, as we start selling products to promote the network, and maybe even bring in a little bit of money, enough to pay for the servers and a little bit of profit, things might, you know, get to the point where we can go to a bank and say, hey, we got this network and it's making an income, and we want to buy this radio station. That's, I mean, the economy's crap. A radio station might shut down. The building could go into foreclosure, and they got an antenna. Say, hey, there's this radio station in Pittsburgh. We want to buy it. And honestly, we won't be there running the radio station. I'll put a computer in there. I'll put something to receive our network signal and rebroadcast it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, commercial free. I don't know. Maybe we'll work some commercials in there. But we would put the commercial on the network feed. It wouldn't be anything specific to Pittsburgh, I don't think. I have no idea where this was going. I think the most important point that I made, and it is so true, is that since I started this, it has been like I'm walking across a bridge, and it's an invisible bridge. There's nothing in front of me, and I just put my foot out, and that part of the bridge appears under my foot. I have no idea where this is going. I'm just doing, I mean, literally, I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, we got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. And these ideas just come to me. Lately, it was, I got to get on shortwave radio. I'm feeling this urge now to get Truth Broadcast Network on the airwaves. I don't know how to make it happen, but I didn't know how to build a freaking network not too long ago. I didn't know how to do any of this. So I'll do everything that I can. Again, coming up within 1 minute, we have Stephen Roberts with Cancel the Cabal. And not wanting to get cut off in the middle of my broadcast, I may just go ahead and sign off. Did you tell people that the White House blocked the investigation? No. I have information from Daniel Guild that the White House blocked the investigation. They've blocked a lot of investigations, so I really don't know exactly which one he's talking about here. But you guys got to learn to call into the station. And again, Stephen Roberts will be up next. I'm sure he'd appreciate a caller or two. And the number is on the screen right now. If you guys want to write that down, you can use it anytime, any night. He should know to sign into the network Skype. So before I get cut off, I've already been cut off. Damn it. I'm out for the night. Death to the New World Order.
Truth Broadcast Network may contain copyrighted material, the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We make this available in our efforts to advance understanding of criminal justice, political, human rights, economic, scientific, and social justice issues. This constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law. In accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, the material on this site is distributed without profit to those who have expressed a prior interest in receiving the information.